Alright, now that we got our blueprint already set ready to go for handling all of our IK foot tracing information, we will delve into getting our actual character to manipulate his legs when he's standing on surfaces. So in our character's animation blueprint, we can now grab the values of our left foot and our right foot IK offset. So with our character that we're casting to, again, that's coming from our try to get pawn owner, and I just set this as a variable at the very beginning, so I can always just change one variable instead of changing a whole bunch of different ones. We can grab the IK offset for the right foot, and we'll do that one more time. Let's get the IK offset for the left foot as well. Now let's just do one, and then we'll just copy all that information and make it into the other one as well. So for the right foot, we're going to need one to be multiplied by a negative, so it's actually getting the same information as the left foot. So let's multiply this value by -1. And let's make this into a vector. That's going to influence our x value for our character in here. So again, because this is making this x, this is actually influencing the direction of his bones and where they're going. So let's take this return value, and we need something to drive it. So we're going to need a new variable, and we're going to call this vector variable, a right foot effector location. Alright, bad spelling, apologize. Let's bring that in, let's set it, and we're going to do the same thing with the left foot in just a second here. So the only thing we really need is we need just the make vector for our left to be the x, or promote this. Pretty much the same exact name. I'm just going to copy that because I'm too lazy to retype all that. And I'm going to hit home, and I'm going to replace right with left. Cool. Now we have both of our vector values set for where our IK is going to go. It's the same way we're handling that we did for manipulating the bones for our spine when we were doing the aiming offset. And that's what these vectors are going to be doing for handling the IK offset. So now we have the foot tracing set up in position. Let's delve into the actual anim graph that's going to handle what's going on with this character's bones as he's moving around. So I'm going to move that way out of the way. So we have this that handles our spine, we have our different cache values for our base movement, and we have our values set for what's happening when our character animates. This is our main line, this is the cache value. So let's put this in the beginning of it right now. I would not be doing this because I'm going to change this in a couple of seconds here, but I want to show a couple of examples of why you might not want to have this in the beginning influencing everything. Unless you find a better way to handle it, then go for it. I'm just providing you examples that can give you a jumping off point. Okay, so in our animation graph, we need to do a couple things. We need a bone IK system, which is awesome because they provided it to us. So we can type in IK, and it'll give us a 2 bone IK. So we have a effector location and we have a joint target location. Well, we do have effector locations that we did make, and what those are is the 2 that we just have promoted here. So let's get both of these since we're going to be doing this twice. And let's set up the right side first. So that way we can just copy and paste a bunch of things. Our joint target location, we're going to just drag this off and promote this to a variable. And I'm going to call this one the joint target location. And I'll show you what this does in just a second. So let's bring this in, and let's go to local component. And I'm going to bring this up so that way I know I can see it. Okay, so now we actually have all the values being set for what's going to be influenced. So let's go to the internals of setting up our bone IK. So the bone that we need to influence for this one, for our right foot, is going to be, you guessed it, foot right. Can't find it. So foot left and foot right. We're going to make the stretch limits set to about 500. Again, a lot of this stuff I found just by going into the content example and just looking at that character, which I'm going to load that while it's in the background. Simply so I can show another example of something. And let's keep on building this. We want this to be manipulating not the component space, but our bone space. And it's going to ask for our end effector location. So we have one. It's actually going to be our foot right. Oops. Again, if I'm not spelling wizard here, so let's go to foot right. When it comes to getting the bones, it's pretty important. As pin, we have an effector location, which we do, which is actually this value. And our joint target is going to be in our parent bone space. And our joint target name will be, let's call this thigh right. Okay. So I do believe we might need to add a couple more sockets later, but I don't think so right now. Okay, so we have this in place, and let's plug this in for now just to see what's going on with our character. So we compile this, and we're not seeing anything happen just yet. There we go. So let's take a couple of values and let's just manipulate them around a bit. So all of our manipulators are down here, and I'm going to take the joint target location and see. I'm going to move it about, I don't know, 300 units out. I'm not seeing anything happen just yet. Actually, let's mess with the Y location of this. Alright, so we're going to need to input this value here. Let's go about 200 for the joint target location. And this should influence where exactly this leg is going to be pointing when it's manipulating in the world. We can try to test this now, but we're going to run into a problem because of our capsule, and I'll be showing how to handle that in just a minute as well. So with all that we just got done doing here, let's just copy this here. And let's just paste that over. Again, let's plug this into components. And we already have our left foot effector location. We have our joint target location. Well, let's not do a joint target, I forgot. Because we're handling this joint target to be, what this is doing is actually, it's sending a point. I don't know if you've ever messed with any rigs that have IK or inverse kinematic setups. They have knee joints that'll actually go left, that'll cant left to right whenever you're manipulating a joint that you want to have like the knee rotate. So with this target location, let's go right, copy all that, and let's promote another variable. I'm going to call this one left. Alright. Let's bring this over, get some room, and let's start inputting what foot we need, which is the left foot. Need our bone space, our stretch limits at 500 here. Our effector bone name is not foot right, but foot left. And same thing with our joint target, which will be thigh left. So let's compile that. And if we look at our joint target, still has the same value as our right. So now, for testing purposes, I'm going to take the capsule collision of this character and I'm going to make it a lot smaller than what it's supposed to be set to, because I really need to see what's going on with the feet. So let's make the radius a lot smaller than that. Alright, so you don't necessarily need to be taking this capsule and making it smaller right now, but I'm doing this because I'm trying to debug what's going on with the feet. So out of all the work that we've done so far for getting this character set up, let's take a look at what's going on if we begin to play it in the editor. So if we run up to the stairs and aiming so I can just do a quick rotation and see what's going on with this foot, we don't have anything going on just yet. So let's see what's happening. We got a lot of our code already done. There's something missing. Well, for one, I noticed is if I click on this box here for the 2-bone IK node, I can actually see where my effector is. And my effector is right now in the center of this character, which is not where it's supposed to be because my effector location is the socket that we had placed on his foot, and it's not there right now. Well, if I go through, I can see my IK bone is there. My stretching is fine. My end effector bone space is 4 or right. That's not correct. So I got to change the spelling of that. And as soon as I push enter, you'll notice that the effector location snaps to where the socket is. So now if you were to take this effector location and give some input into it, well, let's actually compile it really quickly to see this happen. Once you begin to add into the X, because that's what we had specified to be the number that goes up and down, we'll see that the foot will actually go down and raise up. So the IK is actually beginning to work. Let's do the same thing with the left foot as well. So again, since I copied this, my bad spelling carried over there. So be sure to make sure that fine on that. And also make sure that your joint target location left and right are set to around 200 in the Y. The reason for this being is if I were to take this to 0, you'll see that his knee actually buckles in towards the center. It's because it's acting as if there's a forward effector out here that's driving which way it wants to go. Right now, so we have 0, it's going towards the center of this character, so the knee wants to face towards that. So if I increase this, you'll see the knee begins to go outside. About 1,000 is pretty high, but around 200 is pretty good for what we're doing for how his idle animation is set up. So however you set up your character's idle animation, if your character's legs are supposed to be like way off to the right or something like that, your IK setup is going to be a little bit different because this is also kind of dependent based on the type of animations that you have set up and using. This guy's animation is pretty forward, so this works pretty well for his setup. Okay, so now that our event graph is good, let's jump back over to the blueprint and take a look at what's going on in his event graph. Let's start off with what's actually driving the entire system. Well, what's driving our entire system is our IK distance, I know, is 0, but I don't think we have it set anywhere. So we can check this by going to find references. And we notice we have a bunch of gets, but we have nothing setting this value. So we're going to need to fix that in a minute. And if we also delve into here, let's take our scale, and 100 is pretty high, so let's drag that down to about like 50. And if we go backwards, we'll also notice that I have this backwards as well, so let's flip these nodes around. So we actually need the input of our trace distance to be the overall value, and whatever the actor location is taking away from the z-axis is what's going to minus from our trace distance. So let's compile and save that really quickly. Let's go back to the event graph, and we need to set something to allow this trace distance to be set. Same with the scale, because I don't even think the scale has anything being set for that either. No, we have nothing setting it. We have a bunch of gets for it. So we only need to do this one time. And I don't need it to run every tick, so what we can do is we can either set that with event begin play, or we can put that in the construction script. The construction script is going to run before this character spawn the level, and this runs once the character is actually spawned. Well, we can do it before because we don't need it to happen when the character comes in. So let's find our construction script. So under our little functions graph, you can find your construction script. Let me double click on that, and I can see everything we've been doing so far. I have this happening twice, so I don't necessarily need to give default weapons in there in the actual event graph, so we can get rid of that. And since we're not really using this node yet, let's just get rid of that for now. And let's go into the construction script, and let's write in our setting the values for our IK trace distance and our scale. Let's connect those in. And now we got to get some float values that are going to set these values for us. And let's make a comment box so we know what's going on in here. So let's set IK trace variables. Alright, and I'm going to make some room here so we can get some of the little nuanced code in there. Alrighty, so what do we need to drive a scale? Well, the scale is going to be set mainly by the actor's height. So we can get the actor transform. And from this transform, you can, break it. I need the scale of how big he is. So we'll break that, and I only want the Z of that to set his scale. So let's connect that in to make sure it runs. And again, if you want to, you can use these since they're both breaking this value, or you can just, let me copy this so I can just show it. You can right click, you can split that, and then we can go to the scale and we can split that again. Now I don't want to do that because this gets a little strange looking, like you have to read backwards on this, but I'll just have it set up so we know exactly what's going on. So our IK trace distance needs to be set, so our scale will be set first. I know we're going to need to get this scale value because we're going to also need to multiply it by our capsule or collision capsule's half height. So let's get the half height and let's multiply these two floats together. Alright, so now that we have our floats multiplied together, that'll set our initial IK trace distance for how far this is going to go. Alright, so let's compile, let's save that. Now hopefully we should be good to test this again. Home so I can see where I'm looking at. I'm going to bring this down a bit. Alright, and let's give it another try. So I'll maximize my viewport and I'll walk on over, and I can actually see his foot is now on the steps. So if you rotate this guy around, see his foot is actually going to be tracing to the bottom of the stairs. Okay, that's cool, but I have this problem where like my capsule is just always in the way. That's going to be handled probably in a whole nother video. I noticed I don't have a weapon there, so I'll probably have to put that back in for what I got rid of earlier. Sorry. But also, you notice his legs are doing something strange as he's running around. And the only time I really don't need something like this running in IK tracing when my character's in motion, because I'm never going to see that. I'm really going to see like when he stops, like right there. I'll notice that. But his capsules, again, his capsule's just in the way. So let me go to show collision here, and I'm going to unpossess this guy and move down, set this to unlit so you can see it better. His capsule's just like always being the dictator, saying, oh well, my capsule's here so I don't care about your offset. There is ways you can probably set this to like say that you want him to be this high and his leg needs to go down. We could probably do something where his pelvis probably influences that and his feet would need to be offset from that. I haven't set anything up like that just yet, but I'm still doing my research into it. And if I get something working for that, I'll do a video that I'll actually add into this as well. So let's get his gun back in his hand, and then I think for this video that should be good. We should be good to go from that. So let's delve into his construction script, and because I have to backtrack a bit, let's bring in his event begin play, and we reconnect, and oops, test this. The weapon's back in his hand. Okay, cool. So yeah, this also should see the effects of this too. If you have, we'll do it on run dedicated server, and let's do new Windows. There we go. So you should see this too. That's strange. Should also see this, yeah, because we're seeing the debug happen. We can turn that off on the line trace. So even when I'm standing here and trying to move over just a little bit, that capsule drives me crazy. That's why I had to come up with a system that kind of would aid in that. You can actually see that character and his legs kind of offset themselves. So as he rotates around, his feet will adjust themselves on the stairs. And we can make this faster or slower too by going into your interpolate speed, and we can make this a little bit quicker, so we can change that to like 15, and his feet will then adjust themselves a lot faster than they were before. So they're not, it's not instance, but it's a nice little transition to see his feet kind of adjust themselves. So that's the IK one. I know there's a lot of tedious blueprint set up for that, but it adds a nice little effect for your characters whenever they're running around. So probably in the next video what we're going to do is we're probably going to handle setting up trying to get this capsule to end up growing and shrinking, because I've seen that character blueprints can literally have like one main collision capsule that's dictating like where in the world their overall collision is going to be for the player location. But I'll probably explain that in the next video. But thanks for watching. Hopefully it was useful.